if you don't have player development in your program, you need it now, like today, like yesterday, right? But I'm going to talk about it here in my book, The Player Development Guide, on page 67. We talk about player development's impact on your program. There it is, player development's impact on your program. So there are three main areas that player development can impact your program. Number one is your players. Number two is your program and staff. And number three is your external relations and all the external things you have to do outside of the inside of your program. So the two things when we talk about players, there's two areas where it impacts the most, and that is belonging and situational awareness, right? And when we talk about belonging, here's the deal. In the player development role, when I was in it at the University of Houston, University of Kansas, and Baylor, I don't care about playing time, right? I don't care about playing time. I don't care about what plays you make on the field. Now, granted, I do cheer because I'm part of the team and we need to win because bonuses are involved, but we need to win because I want to see you be your best. But I help create belonging in the program. I'm there to help make sure that all the athletes, or whoever the player development professional is there to make sure all the athletes feel like they have a place in the program. And that's from your walk-on freshman, your scholarship freshman, to the player that just transferred in, to the player that's starting for the first time, to the player that got demoted, lost a position, to the player that just got on medical, retirement list, they're not playing anymore, to the player that's in their senior year knowing the NFL is not calling, to the player that's going in their senior year like, hey, I'm about to get drafted, right? To the player that's leaving, that it has to leave, right? But you create a sense of belonging for all those people because all those people are in the locker room, right? All those people are in the locker room. The first time college attendee, the legacy kid, they're all in the locker room, right? The kid who never thought they can get a degree, the kid that's working on their master's degree, right? So you're working with all these athletes and you have to create a sense of belonging in that locker room. And so on page 67 or in section page 60 or in that section, starting on page 67, I talk about belonging and how this role can help create the cohesiveness in the locker room that has nothing to do with playing time and how this role can help. The second thing I mentioned earlier is situational awareness, understanding the situation that's coming. So, for instance, we all know at the end of fall camp, one situation is this. At the end of fall camp, everybody's competing, and then now you got your ones and twos, and you got to give people the scout team, right? So now you got to get the scout team jerseys out. Players ain't going to feel a certain type of way. I was competing. Man, I'm not on scout. I'm trying to make the travel roster, right? So I would know in that situation, like, let me get in the locker room. Let me see what's going on. Let me talk to equipment who hadn't picked up their scout jersey. Let me talk to the coaches. Who do you think when you let them know they're going to be on scout team and let them know they're not in the 2 deep or the 3 deep, whatever it may be per position? Who do you think will have the most problems with the reality of the situation? Who do I need to encourage? Who's on the brink, right? Or I know which starters. Who's the starter that doesn't? I don't want to say they don't think they should be a starter, but they're kind of shocked it happened. They're shocked they're starting, right? I'll never forget. I had a player before we played University of Houston. I'll never forget. Keith Corbin, actually, shout out to Keith Corbin. We're getting ready to play Louisville, and he started. He's a freshman, one of our highly recruited guys, and he started. It's his first game. I remember being in the locker room before the game during the week when he knew he was the first play of the game. We had a play scripted. It was going to be, I believe, a toss reverse kind of sweep to him, and he's like, "Coach, I'm nervous." I was like, "What's up, Keith?" He's like, "I'm getting the first play. I'm getting the first play. It's coming to me." So I knew he was nervous all week. So situational awareness, right? At the hotel, hey, Keith, you're going to be fine, right? Before the game, Keith, you're going to be fine. Just checking in on him, not mentioning the game, but hey, Keith, or the play, Keith, you good? Yeah. And just let him know, hey, yeah, you earned this, right? Let's go. But having that situational awareness where I could talk to him, or I can go to a GA or coach and say, hey, Keith, he lets me know he got first play. He's kind of, a little nervous, but I'm working with him. And if you could help, just encourage him. And he had a great game, ended up having a great college career at University of Houston and other places he played. So it's just things like that. You have that situational awareness because you have somebody that a player trusts that a player can have that conversation with. Now you're watching this, and I appreciate you trusting me to watch this. And you're like, who are you? I forgot to mention my name. My name is Ed Jones. I'm the founder of Beyond the Field, where we develop people and elevate programs. I'm the author, as you know, of the Player Development Guide and the host of this podcast, the Player Development Pod. So thank you so much for being here. The number two way that this role helps your program, or number two reason you need this role like yesterday, like a year ago, right, is it's going to help with academic and recruiting support. One of the things I loved when I worked at the University of Houston, University of Kansas, and Baylor University was being the academic liaison. So I was the person who was responsible for communication with the academic staff and with our the academic staff to our coaching staff, and letting both understand, hey, this is what's going on, letting academics know about our schedule, letting football know about academic schedule, who has this class, whatever, who has missed, all this. It was great. And so in that, I was able to support, and the coach has someone on their staff, because this can't be the coach can't be there all the time. Even the director of operations can't be there all the time. The recruiting can't be there all the time for academics. So I was able to have that in my role, and I enjoyed it. And I was a former teacher and coach at the high school level. So I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed academics. I get it, and it's great to know where guys are in their classroom. And I get to say, hey, so-and-so. And I had the privilege at Baylor of creating kind of changing our whole academic setting and creating an aspect of how we would do our meetings differently. So the coach was like, hey, I want you to create something. And our coaches, we got to get them to pay attention. This could be a long meeting. How can we cut this meeting down? So what I did was I created a 3-area system, and I just used shout out to Garrett Morgan, the stop light, like green light, yellow light, red light. So green were the guys that were good. Hey, these guys are good. We don't need to spend much time on them. We do need to spend time. Yellow, the guys in the middle, we need to focus on them, get them in the green, and then red were the guys who needed the most focus. So we were able to just look physically there, boom, boom, boom. I knew I got a report. I could talk to these guys. The coaches knew. We all knew. So that was something I enjoyed. And I enjoyed all the academic staffs I worked with. They were incredible staffs, and I really, really, truly enjoyed them. And then the last or the next thing in the program staff aspect is recruiting support. You get to help recruit. And so for me, that was huge. I have a funny story. I enjoy recruiting. At one point, for about 8 months, I had to work in recruiting. So I was doing player personnel. I was assistant director of player personnel with Alex Brown. Shout out to Alex Brown. He's with the Atlanta Falcons. He's scout for the Falcons. And so I was doing it. I was watching film. I'm in there, and I'm watching all this film, and I'm sitting here like, oh, man, I miss player development. I miss the players. And so I had the opportunity to go back. And from watching film, I got to know players. But the number one thing I helped with my entire career at the University of Houston in recruiting was we had a player named Peyton Turner who was drafted in the first round, is currently with the Dallas Cowboys. And I was talking to his mom, and we were talking, and she was like, hey, Jones, if my son sits with the O-line coach or the offensive coaches one more time, we ain't coming to University of Houston. And she said it very politely, and I said, hey, could you tell me why? She's like, he wants to play defensive end. He's a defensive end. It seems like y'all are trying to change him to offensive tackle, which was part of the plan. And so I said, thank you so much for communicating that. She says, I trust you. I think you'll do the right thing. I was like, I will. So I went to Coach Major Alf White and our defensive coordinator, our D-line coach, and I had an emergency meeting. I was like, I need y'all to meet me right now. And they're like, I said, I need y'all to meet me right now. It's urgent. So I go in there, we meet, and I grabbed the recruiting, director of recruiting who was helping with the official visit. I said, hey, they have to sit down with the defense from here on out every meal. So we changed all the seating. He committed, had a great career, and is in the NFL. Was a first-round pick for the University of Houston. But that was something that I was able to do because this parent trusted me, because this parent had saw me talk about how we're going to help the players off field. This parent knew by talking to me, it wasn't going to affect playing time. It wasn't going to affect anything else. She knew that she was talking to someone who was just there for the players. And so that is a story I always use and one that I always love, because that was really, really great. And then the last thing here is external. You get to be parent and family communication and alumni engagement. So when you're talking to parents, you're talking to family as well. I talked about my conversation with the mother in recruiting, but you get to talk. One thing I love was seeing parents at home and away games, seeing them out there. Hey, how you doing? All that. You get to communicate with them. One thing we had at Kansas with Tori Takel, when she was there, we had a family Facebook group. If I got back in the role, I would do a weekly newsletter. Here's everything this week. Here's what you need to know about the game. Here, I'm highlighting these athletes here that have done this, right? You want to communicate with the families. And then the alumni. Alumni is one of the most overlooked aspects of programs, but you need to engage in your former players, your former alumni of the university or your school, whatever it may be. They don't have to be athletes, right? But you need to engage the alumni. And this person is your liaison. This person is the person who's communicating with the alumni. I love speaking about alumni. You can find out here in this alumni episode up here, but I always love engaging alumni because you get to hear stories. You get to hear how they're thankful for the current program. So those are the 3 areas: players, belonging and situational awareness, program and staff, academics and recruiting support, and then external, parent and family communication and alumni engagement. Now, if you were like, hey, this is great, we need some player development help, some player development resources, I have an assessment here in the show notes where you can go in that assessment and you can let me know where you are as a program right now. I'll reach back out to you and give you the help you need. Now, coaches, here is a playlist for you. I haven't forgot about you, coaches. Here's a player development playlist for you, your coach's guide to player development. As I always say, go out and create generational impact. Don't wait, create that impact today. Thank y'all.